Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the fourth episode of FPL Pulse Talk. All four of us are back with more insights, and this time with the most important topic that's around the midfielders. We have a watch list prepared, we have the insights prepared, and a lot of talking pointers from an eye test, from your strategy. What are the best picks right now from a game week or a shorter window horizon, and how can you plan them in your team or like make sure the overall structure stays stable? So in today's podcast, you can expect everything around this, and we will have our main speakers, Suraj and Vimarsh, covering these key stats that they have researched about. So let's get into it. And before that, let me welcome my boys out here, Vimarsh, Aman, Suraj. How have you been? I mean, we've been podding for last 4 days consecutively. How are you feeling, guys?
I think always excited to shoot these pods, and yeah, as the game week one deadline is getting closer, it's getting exciting day by day. What about you guys, Aman, Suraj?
Yeah, for me, this is becoming something which is helping me anyway think a lot harder about my FPL strategy. So I'm loving the whole process. Uh, Midfield is probably the most important part of all our teams. So excited to get this discussion started.
Yeah. For me, the more we pod or the more data I gather, my draft changes. So I'm not sure. I mean, I'm enjoying that part, but I'm not sure. I haven't fixed it yet. The structure is fixed, but let's see. We are going to do a draft pod as well after this. So keep an eye on that. Let's move to next section.
Right. Before we move into the data section and begin with our midfielders watch list and insights, just a quick plug on our collaboration this season. So we are collaborating with Fantasy Football Scout for this video as well as the entire season for the upcoming views as well. The data and the stats you'll see are all sourced directly from the members area, which keeps getting better every season. They have a brand new version of member area. It includes tools like Team Planner. They've recalculated the CV that's helping almost everyone right now, and there's much more again in terms of X or 90 stats. That's also key features, which was always a little different when you're moving from one source of data to other source of data. So that's where you can have this and be sure of that these data points are correct. And the best part right now is they are offering 47% off. So if you want to subscribe to them, this is the best time. And in the description below, we have our link from which you can buy and that can help us grow as well. Yeah.
Okay, so let's move to our next section. So I wanted to since we are going to discuss midfielders in this section, I wanted to point out the importance of midfielders in FPL. What this visual tells you about, I filtered out FPL players greater than 150 points from last 4 seasons, uh, as per their positions, and as we can see, there are lot number of midfielders who actually score more than 150 points. So midfielder can win you your mini league, so but only if you pick the right ones, right? And in last 3 years or 4 years, you can say out of players who have more than 150 FPL points, 50 to 60% are from mid. Forwards are around 20 to 30%, as you can see, and the rest comes from defense. And that explains the defense price point, also low price point, because uh, uh, they don't score more than 150 points as per default. But this might change this year due to DEFCON. Uh, but yeah, everyone knows that midfields have more goal involvements, and my strategy would be to go a bit cheap on the defense. It might vary from different managers in FPL. And I want to utilize that money to get premium midfielders or forwards. Also, midfielder offer more points than forwards with one extra points for goals, one for clean sheets, and then they are bonus hoggers as well. Given that, as I said, given that we have DEFCON points this year, we can leverage this. We discussed budget defensive pick in last quarter, so you can check that out as well. So today we'll break down how to pick midfielders from a strategic lens, from team roles to data trends to historical talisman. Whether you are going with 3 minutes or 5 minutes, this episode is for you. Any thoughts on this, guys?
Yeah, so you're absolutely bang on. That midfielders are the ones who actually get the maximum points out of any outfield players in FPL. And you know what historical analysis sort of shows that most of the successful FPL managers generally have in the past allocated close to 42 to 45% of their budget on the midfield, which is largest of any other position. So uh, there are a few initial templates developing wherein like a premium heavy structure is getting popular, where you have a Salah and a Palmer, and then you have maybe 8 or 8.5, followed by 1 6.5 and a budget midfielder. And then there is another balanced approach out there, wherein you again have Salah and Palmer, kind of a premium, two premiums, and you then have two 6.5 to 7.5 midfielders, and one either 5 or 5.5, kind of a budget enabler. So that's the meta that is developing as we near the game week 1 deadline.
Okay.
So we have this view of Fantasy Football Scout on our screen right now. We kind of wanted to tell you that this is something that you can use as in their players tab, where you can filter out by various attributes of midfielders and outfield players where they have a goal threat. So if you look at from a penalty touch perspective, we can see there are certain picks that might not look stand out from a standard stats like goals or XG, but these are other areas where you can look a player and can be a potential player that you want to target. So we are seeing picks like Maduake coming here, Garnacho coming here. So they might not be hot picks right now, but when we progress into the season, if you want to pick some initial trends, like these are the leading indicators that help you understand that what is happening. Like let's say you're not watching the game out. So these are the trends that help you understand where the players are positioned and where they're doing well. So similar stat is big chances created that we in the FPL community usually focus on. So whether they are converting their big chances, what is their volume of big chances considered? Are they in a team which is like they're a standout person creating those big chances? So they do help in these particular things. So check out this particular table in the FFF Scout, and we have leveraged this table and also other and collaborated this entire data in our picks that we are going to show as a watch list. So that has helped us segregate a lot of these players and pick the premiums, budget enablers, and medium price picks from this. Yeah.
Yeah, so big chances total, which is like how many big chances were attempted. If you look at that metric, one standout for me, who a player who underperformed that metric, it was Ismail Assar from Crystal Palace. Like, he had 23 big chances, out of which he was able to score 6 of them. So there's a poor conversion rate here, but that also tells us there's a potential for this player. He's been improving. He was in a lot of our teams last season. We were sometimes disappointed, sometimes also rewarded, but I'd keep my eye out for a player like Ismail Assar again, based on how Crystal Palace do in their initial fixtures.
Yeah.
Good point.
So we'll move to the next visual we have for the goal involvements. And what we are trying to show here is like on the y-axis, we have just our team names who are like basically the Premier League teams. Thanks for zooming it for our viewers, Suraj. So, and the x-axis here is just the XG. So if you want to understand from in each team perspective, like who are involved in most of the activities, starting with Liverpool from the bottom, we can see Salah, Diaz are involved. Like these were the players that we know were outperforming City. So these are some common themes. But if we are not the teams that we are not usually familiar with, and if we are tracking them, that helps us in nailing down some of the picks. Like for Brighton, we know there are, if like considering this squad is about midfielders, we can see there are names like Mitoma coming over there, but other three are strikers. So if we are thinking of a Brighton midfielder, then maybe Mitoma could be that pick. So in general, these kind of view, and we will be putting more on this on our other social platforms about this particular view, but in high level understanding about what these teams and who are the key picks of these teams, and considering some of these midfielders have also moved teams, so how will they perform? If I take example of Brian and Bumo, within the Brentford, the share of XG was divided between him and Visa primarily. Now, if a player like Bumo in a team whose overall XG is so small and still has a good share, which is comparable to the likes of Eze in Crystal Palace, which is similar to likes of Havertz or Saka in Arsenal, this kind of share will help like even a team like United. So you can imagine that a person doing well in a poor team can also extrapolate his number of XG in like when he moves to a better team altogether. So this is the view like we are kind of putting forward, and we'll keep on updating as well when the season progresses to understand what are the themes arising in terms of team. This is an outlook from the previous season. And if you'll see, the current template also features most of these players only when we are looking at a pool of forwards and midfielders. And we wanted to give this like this as an heads up shout because if you get familiarity with the names that are out there, like if I talk about Kudus, who's in Spurs, he was there as a pick West Ham. That is why like his transfer was key and has been talked about, and he's become a template pick currently. If I talk about Cunha, who is one of the key picks for Wolves last season, now when he's moved to United, he's been spoken about, and there's a good ownership right now. Similarly, if you are looking like a poor, like a non-converting team like Everton, we have Beto, so he's also featuring a lot of team considering DCL injury. He becomes a standout pick that whenever he's played, he's been among the XG share. So this kind of will have a high level view of your contribution from the main players. And obviously, when these are main players, we are filtered out the main players from an FPL standpoint only. Any thoughts, high level guys, you guys have on this particular view, which we put together?
I have one. India stands out.
Yeah.
Beto, I'm surprised is over there. Uh, I think DCL in the end the clinical finishing was not there, so that's the reason Beto started. Bowen, though he's forward now, but a good pick. But I think he will play as a he won't play as a striker. Apart from that, anything else, guys? Brendan Johnson, sorry, that's one pick I really like. He has scored in today's Spurs versus Newcastle pre-season friendlies as well. So that's something.
For me, something to really take note of is Bournemouth here. They are the fifth highest XG generating team last season, and out of there, if you see, the second position is sort of almost shared by Semenyo and Kluivert. So both of these players are 7 million, or I'm not sure if I'm remembering correctly for Kluivert whether he's 7.5 or 7. But yeah, these are mid-priced, midfielders which are, maybe going under the radar. But if you look at, their XG generation, that's pretty high compared to similar priced picks across other teams. So yeah, Bournemouth is also a fair shout.
Yeah. And just a call out here, like the others are very small share, and that is why they were irrelevant in the entire pool of players our team possesses. So these are the ones who are taking the maximum chunk. And like if there are like if I talk about Aston Villa, why there others is maximum, we've taken out the contribution of Rashford and Asensio, which was a decent share over there. But the standout picks, if I have to talk about this season, remain Watkins and Rogers only. So that is why we kind of created this particular view. So this gives you an impact comparison between players of different teams and how they are doing, what like overall contribution they have on the team, and like if they have the maximum share of that from the next G standpoint, obviously they become a standout FPL pick also. So it's this view only that we'll be like we hope can aid you in making a better decision. And once we start tracking this across game weeks, I think we'll again start to see some leading themes coming out again.
Okay, so let's move to next section, guys.
So yes, let's get on with our watch lists, and this is the first one with premium midfielders, all those who are 8.5 million and above. And just a small correction here, Palmer is 10 and a half there. He's listed down as 14 over there. Hopefully he'll be 14 in the next or the next to next season if he performs exceptionally well, which he has full potential to do. But yeah, I mean, I think each and every one of us, each and every manager is probably going to have at least two out of these five picks in their team, and it makes it worth a while to talk about these picks in general. Some of these are well-established picks like Salah and Palmer, and even Saka, although he was injured for part of the last season with his hamstring injury. But some of them are potential midfielders who are gonna give some huge hauls. Hopefully in this season, like Wirtz. Bruno has been a lone warrior in United, but hopefully our fortunes turn this season. So yeah, I mean, there's nothing much to talk about in terms of the stats they have here on the screen with respect to here on the screen with respect to these midfielders. Salah had an absolutely sensational season. Like whatever you say about him is not gonna is not going to be enough. 29 goals and 18 assists in 38 games, and that too after towards the end. I mean, I think he kind of lost interest also after that won the league. So I don't think he could have easily gone for like 30 or 35 odd goals if some other team had been in contention with Liverpool. So I think he eased out towards the end. Otherwise, he would have broken some more records. So 47 goal involvements is kind of unprecedented. I think he was tied for the Premier League record for highest goal involvements in a 38 game season. So that was just exceptional. Palmer, on the other hand, if I just on a brief overview talk about him, he had a very mixed season. He started off all guns blazing for game weeks 1 to 21. He was right behind Salah in terms of points per game. and I don't know, something happened after game week 21, and I've tried to decode it in one of the slides, but from game weeks 22 to 38, he just couldn't return at all, and it was very surprising to see a player of his caliber dip in form in such a way. And hopefully that doesn't happen, because looking at his performances in the Club World Cup, I'm expecting him to go huge again this season. And if I briefly talk about Saka as well, Saka again was injured for a good part of last season. I think the the weight of responsibilities he has kind of took a toll on him last season. Prior to last season, he was almost available for 80% of the games each time. I mean, he started almost all the games. He was always available for the games. And last season, finally, I mean, since there was nobody else in that position to kind of like share his workload, he finally got injured and had to miss out part of the season. But even then, he had some good stats, which we'll talk about later. Bruno was again a monster in terms of chances created and big chances created, considering United finished 17th in the league, and still he was like a silver lining in this in United's grey clouds. So we'll talk about him as well. And lastly, we've kept Wirtz over here. There are huge expectations from Florian Wirtz. He just lit up Bundesliga with Bayer Leverkusen, and he's been signed for a record fee by Liverpool. So it'll be exciting to see how he fares in this season, and a lot of points around where he plays, um, how his signing might like kind of bite into Salah's FPL points as well. That's again another thing to look at, because he's definitely going to give returns. We're sure about that. So yeah, anything you guys want to add before I move into like some detailed analysis of these players?
I'm just a word of caution for Bruno, considering we have two biggest FPL assets in Cunha and Mbuma also in United. So
Yep.
that also hurts his FPL value as you know. Like so, 9 million becomes a very expensive price point, considering we haven't seen a minute of him along with these like them all these three together. So that's where like I'll be. But otherwise, all four of other picks are really tempting, and it's very difficult to like you want to keep three of them, but it's getting difficult with the other price points that are there and other positions.
Right.
Yeah, I
That's
mean, Florian Wirtz and Salah were literally the two players who've returned double-digit goals and double-digit assists across previous two seasons, like Salah in Premier League and
yep.
Wirtz in Bundesliga. So Wirtz is already getting very popular. He has returned at like 100, one return per 107 minutes. So that's right behind Salah in that stat, and his shot accuracy is also 50%, so that's very high. And then he brings that versatility of playing on the left wing as a number 10 or a false 9. So huge expectations, and maybe if we get some good pointers or indications in the preseason, maybe he'll be in a lot more teams than we see right now.
Right. And he has
There,
started taking corners from both end, if I'm not wrong.
Yes, and he's returned in the uh, preseason friendlies as well. A goal and an assist, if I'm not wrong. So,
Two
uh,
assists.
yeah, there you go, two assists. So, huge
so
expectation
there
towards.
is a slight concern and an air of concern which is always there with Salah. I mean, people have been trying to pin down that no, this season is not going to be Salah season, and he just outperformed last season in the preseason. Also, there was a narrative, and I obviously went without Salah for the start of the season, and eventually we had to onboard into him and then not keep him as a season hold. So with now this is again like his age is increasing. We have more potential players who can like take points. Do you still feel like we need to still trust him?
There is a point that he might not score the same as this year, but I won't go against Salah. We have done that. He has punished us a lot. What Salah guarantees is basically you have one captaincy pick every week. You can trust on Salah. Also, the reason why I go for midfielder captaincy versus forward captaincy or Haaland captaincy is you get a clean sheet point, extra 1 point, and extra 1 point for goals. So double digit hauls are easy to get, and that's the reason I'll stick with Salah.
Yeah, I mean, historically, he's been known. He's actually someone who holds the record for most game week one returns.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's wise to go against Salah. He is such a fit player. I don't think like there's any other fit player considering what age he's at as well. And he always starts the season very strong. it was foolish of us. Maybe we were too enamored by Haaland after
Haaland.
his first season, that we all went with him instead of Salah. And kudos to whoever went with Salah and Haaland both in the start. So I'm not making that mistake. Maybe consider adding Haaland to my draft, which is not right now. But I'm not going without Salah.
Yeah, even I'm not going without Salah. I've always, for the past 2 seasons, I've always learned it the hard way. Never doubt Salah. there's no point in doubting him unless you see, like you can tangibly see that he's not performing well for multiple games. There's no point in going against him because he's like that stock that you take out from the stock market and then it rises. But he's also kind of like the stock that always rises. But then he's just a crazy pick to have in general.
Yeah, I mean, I think he had some 18 double-digit returns out of
Yep.
38 game weeks.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Like, considering he didn't score much in the last few game weeks, and he already by that point had garnered some 18 double-digit hauls. That's
Yeah.
insane. So
Yeah,
nobody's
last season
taking a bet against
obviously
him.
very difficult to replicate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think it will be replicated, given that we are a Liverpool fan, but I still feel there is a lot of left in him to probably give us another title, but may not be a similar season. But yes, going against that ownership is also a risk when you start your season, so it's not a fair call right now to go against.
Yeah.
Yeah. He won't give you 300 points. He can surely give you 250 at least. And 250
Yep.
is a lot.
Yeah.
That was the gap actually between him and Palmer last season. Palmer was, yeah, Palmer was almost, I think, 107 or so points behind him.
Yeah.
So
Yep, yep.
Yeah. All right. So, starting with Palmer first. For Palmer, it was a season of two halves, right? From game weeks 1 to 21 and then 20 to 38. There was a massive dip in his form. And you can see, based on all these heat maps and all these positional charts, that his playing position also kind of changed towards the second half as well. So I wouldn't necessarily buy a lot into all this data in general because he's an exceptional player after all. But what do you guys think about what could have been the potential reasons for his dip in form, and what could have been the potential reasons for him playing more towards the central and drifting also towards the left side of the pitch rather than being towards the right side of the pitch?
yeah, that's very true. Like, Palmer was amazing. He scored some 4 goals in a single half against Brighton last season. We all remember that amazing performance from him. But he was exceptional when he was playing on the right forward role, cutting in. Having an amazing understanding with Jackson during the first half of the season. In the second half, there was a little bit of a role or responsibility shift from Maresca for Palmer, where he was now expected to be a lot act as a chance create in a more of a chance creation role to accommodate players like Madueke, Neto, Sancho, on all the other on the two wings, and he took a step back wherein he started supporting the midfield a lot more and helping in chance creation. Secondly, his output was really hampered because of Jackson's injury as well during the second half of the season, where his understanding that he had, that was no longer there, and he also suffered in a way. But just to add, as we can also see here, he's been like a flat track bully of sorts. Like, he's performed overly well when it comes to teams playing in the bottom half of the table, versus teams who ended up in the top six last season, clearly. So I feel he is a definite captaincy shout whenever Chelsea is playing against a weaker ranked team. So that's something to always keep in mind.
All right, awesome. So those are some good additional insights from Aman, and let's move on to the next slide quickly. So yeah, I mean, Florian Wirtz record signing for Liverpool. I mean, there are multiple reasons why Wirtz was signed, and he was. You can see the stats on the screen over here. In the Bundesliga last season, he was seventh for goals and assists, third in expected assists per 90, third in successful dribbles per 90, third in possession one in final third per 90. He was the highest in through balls in the last season and highest in final third passes as well. So he's just an absolute monster in terms of passes, winning possession, dribbles, like an all-round player in general. So he's going to be a menace in front of goal. And yeah, I mean, what do you guys think, Suraj and Varun, about Wirtz in general? How do you think he's gonna uh, be paired with? Let's say, is he gonna be paired with Soboslai, or is he gonna cut into minutes of other players? How's the formation gonna look? What do you guys think? What are your thoughts, both of you guys?
I think he is being brought in to increase that central midfield creativity. I think since the time we've lost Coutinho, we've kind of never replaced him with a apple to apple player, right? And so Bosley is somewhere Gerrard-esque, but his output in terms of goal and assist is not very consistent. It's very scattered. In some brief patches in the last season, we had seen that his form was picking up, but then again, it was it then went downhill, and then there were some rotations that were him. He was not getting those 90 minutes in, so that's one challenge with him. And with Wirtz, it's like he's played multiple roles. He fits in a false nine role. He fits in a number 10 role. He fits in a role where you are like you want someone who's always there as a poacher as well. So there are multiple ways he has in his entire pocket of playing styles. So I think all in all a very versatile player. His stats are speaking the same volume. The only concern that I have is like the intensity of this league like sometimes surprises a lot of players, and we've seen that with many Bundesliga talents who were like so good. Kai Havertz was he had also had a season similar to Wirtz, and Kuko was also a very high tainted player. So this is like a thing with like Premier League, and we know the intensity is changing. I need to still watch him for a couple of games, and it won't be a surprise that if he has a tough start and then hits the ground running.
Yeah, but I think he's already started like good with Liverpool, right? He's already returned in the preseason as well. So we might see him, on the contrary, returning from the first gaming itself. Wouldn't be a surprise, right?
Could be. Having a pre-season with your new signing is always a good thing. So I think that is where everyone can be sure. And I think minutes might not be a risk here, but
Right.
it would be like we need to understand whether his output in terms of FPL points is there or not. He might be still the creativity head there, but he it could be like an assister to the sister. So that is where we might have to um, just have a view in like few games and then on board on him.
Awesome. So that was words for you. Let's move on to the next one. Uh, yes. So I mean, is this going to be the season where Bruno's woes end? Because if you just look at some of his stats on the right, he was first in terms of chances created in a team that ended 17th in the league, and right below him are Cole Palmer and Mohamed Salah in terms of chances created. In terms of big chances created, he was number 7, again with a team that ended 17th, and a team which wasn't able to obviously score too many goals, which is the reason why they were 17th. But you can see that he was trying his best to just like create chances, do something for the team. If you look at the heat map as well, from 23-24 to 24-25, you can see he's had to track back a lot. Like the pitch is absolutely red behind the half line as well, right? He and I mean, adding to his frustrations, he got 2 red cards as well in the last season. So it was an absolutely disastrous season for United, but hopefully things turn around this season. If you also look at the chart on the right here, the big one, he's right below Caicedo in terms of recoveries, ball recoveries for outfield players. He's number 2. So that shows he keeps on fighting. He keeps on grinding for the team as well. So let's see how this season pans out with Cunha and Bruno right behind, and hopefully we sign Sesko. It's in the talks. So yeah, let's see how it goes.
Yeah, I mean, also he averaged pretty high on the defensive contribution amongst the top 4 teams. So, there is some defensive contribution point potential as well. Like, for example, he had 12 plus contributions in both his matches against Manchester City. So he's some player that, you can expect a few more points. And, with the reinforcements that are coming in for United, I think they will have those players who will be able to convert all of his, big chances that he created.
Yeah.
Mind you, like he had some 20 goal contributions still,
Yeah.
despite a shambolic season for United overall as a team. But he was clearly, the shining light of that
Yeah.
team, and and Harry Maguire.
Awesome. All right, so yeah, I mean, Saka returns after his injury, and I mean, all of us know Saka is a brilliant, brilliant player. And I mean, even with his injury and the lack of playing time he had last season, I think he had what, around 11 assists, and he was right behind Salah in terms of non-penalty XGI, goal involvement, expected goal involvements per 90. That's just I mean, ridiculous considering he didn't play that much. So that just shows he'll come back and just like hit the floor running again. So I mean, won't talk much about him. Any thoughts, guys?
Yeah, it's tough to fit in Saka especially than any other player. I feel we all know his potential and how key he is to Arsenal. Always, there are a few question marks right now at the moment. You know how his output takes a hit with Gyökeres coming in, with Madueke fitting in the same role or maybe on the other wing. We don't know for sure whether he'll be sharing minutes. And the other thing which we really banged on was his penalties last season. This time, again, as Arteta is, he's literally given no indication of who will be the primary penalty taker amongst Arsenal team. So we need to see that as well. Like, if he's off the pens, then I don't see a 10.5 million justification for Saka.
Yeah, I
There
think I
was a
mean,
journalist. There was
yeah.
a journalist who asked him this question, and he was like, if Gyökeres has to kind of convince them to allow him to take the penalty, so it's Gyökeres' job. So again, Arteta being Arteta there.
Arteta being Arteta,
I
he
mean,
never
even
gives you
even with
anything.
Madueke, I mean, I don't think he'll bite into Saka's playing time. But then again, that also begs the question that they've signed a 50 odd million player in Madueke, and they must play him as well. So I read on some forums here and there that they might play him on the left wing because he did play 300, 400 odd minutes last season on the left wing as well, and he
He was
wasn't that
not
bad.
great.
No,
He
he
was
wasn't
not
great,
great.
but he wasn't bad as well. He lost some XA points, but he was almost at par on his XG points. And there's another thing that he's adept with both his feet in terms of shooting, right? And he was right behind Semenyo, I think, last season in terms of the distribution of shots taken with the left foot and right foot, right? So he can be a menace on
Creeping,
the left wing as well.
he's creeping in this chart as well at the
Yeah,
last.
yeah, correct.
Hmm.
So yeah, I mean, he is an attacking mindset
Yeah,
player. So
interesting. But again, like I don't think we have Saka, especially with the tough fixtures Arsenal have in the start of the season.
yeah,
He is fixture proof, that is for sure. But like, I think there are better assets
yeah,
right now in terms of the same price range that people will pick.
awesome. Let's move on to the next one.
Yeah, so I can start briefly, and you guys can chime in with the mid-price enablers.
I see
Currently,
Suraj on the the first pitch.
oh
Oh yeah,
sorry,
almost.
Yeah, please go on. Varun.
just
But a
in
different
the
red.
different red
Yeah.
and a better red, Suraj. Yeah, all right. So yeah, in terms of the theme, or we can say the hot picks of midfield, medium price picks, because this is where your structure is making and breaking in term, and like overall team is obviously built around Salahs and Palmers of the game, but these are the players that you also want, that you don't want to rotate much, but obviously like transfer out much and like keep gambling around. If you have the right combination from this get go, I think then you obviously have an edge, because sometimes what we have observed during the season is, and it's a common thing, that we always try to chase these gems of 7.5 and 6 millions, which can or 8 millions, which can help us like kickstart us our season into the right direction. From what has changed from last season, we can see all of them, these picks were even lower price than this, and now they have come to this premium or like semi-premium price zone, which is now making them more lucrative. Obviously, why they are increased in the price? If you look at the stats of all of these players, they're comparable and amongst the best midfielders that were there across teams. When we talk about Rogers, he was a season-long hold. Mbumo was also a season-long hold for a lot of players. Eze has had patches of like high performance, and we know he delivers because his point outlet are multiple. He was on set pieces for a team which has just lost Olise last season, and everything was going through him. So again, a very good pick. Even in this season, we'll call him a good pick because Palace at the last end of the season picked the form, and he was pivotal to that. Clivert and Semenyo, when I'm looking at them, Semenyo started the season really strong. He was the one to look at. And then in the mid-season, to when I talk about game week 15 to 25 onwards, it was just Clivert everywhere. He was hitting goals
Hat
each game
tricks.
week. He was overperforming his XG and obviously scored that famous hat trick.
Yeah.
So
He
anyone
also
who
had pens. He also had pens to him.
yes, yes. So yeah, like there is one consideration with these players, like we picked them because they obviously can be considered, like apart from Rogers, because Watkins is already there, but if he's not on the pitch, he might be considered for pens. But all other four of them have been taking penalties for their side some of the other times. So that is like one good point of them. Obviously, Mbomo has changed team, so he has to fight out for that. But their overall outlet or the ways they can get FPL points is still multifold, and like that makes them stand out. And considering these are the most talked about players amongst the community and even amongst us, so that they become our watch list for the season. And going at the start, going for your game week one draft, these picks, I think it's a safe and still differential approach. Like it's a menu and climate did a differential approach, but it's still a safe approach to go with this because they've shown that and proven that in the last season. You guys can add like that's more or less from me.
Yeah, I mean, we need to really monitor Eze's situation. If he stays at Crystal Palace, then he's somebody who's very interesting in that team. Like he has a lot of set piece share to him as well, and he had a resurgence in his form towards the end of last season, and going by the preseason, he's sort of continuing that. So for me, he's as interesting to monitor, and so are the Bournemouth mids for me. It's very tough to fit everybody in, but as of now, we're all probably looking at Rogers in the 7 million bracket or a 7 million price point. But there's a genuine consideration to go with either Semenyo or Clivert, because at the start itself. There's an equal chance that they can finish better than Rogers. So somebody to monitor.
Right.
Yeah.
But
So in terms of fixture runs, they both have an kind of
mm,
equivalent run for the first 6 game weeks.
Yeah.
thing with Bournemouth is their points are spread. Like everyone in the team, the front three scores goal. With Rogers, Watkins and Rogers are the only two people in Aston Villa who are going to score it.
Yeah, so Bournemouth had Evanilson, Semenyo, like even in the visualization we had at the first time, like for the
Goal
XG
involvement.
contribution as
Yeah.
well. Yeah, like Clivert was there, Semenyo was there, Otaro was there, Evanilson is there. So it's distributed, and like I think we'll during the season only there will be a window when we really feel like who's kind of standing out and like can be picked. But yeah, obviously this is a very tricky price point because let's say they become a point 1 million expensive in game week two only, and there's a complete bandwagon of managers going on to them, then it will be almost impossible to break your structure because right now I don't see anyone going with the point 0.5
In the
free
bank.
in
Yeah.
in the bank, and that is where
Exactly.
it's tricky. So I mean, Rogers is safe, but again, like if you see game week two onwards, these guys have really good fixtures, and let's say we have get some clarity about penalties and set pieces among them. It will be really interesting to see how the narrative shifts from currently Rogers or towards Mbomo as well. Like all these are good
Yeah,
picks.
exactly. So, it's a very, small pool of players in that price range, which I'll say is like 7.5 to 8. But they're also very high upside kind of picks, right? You have Cunha, you have Mbumo, you have Eza, you have Gordon from Newcastle. What if Isak ends up actually moving to Liverpool somehow, and then Gordon becomes their main outlet, sort of. He's been tried out at the center forward position. He maybe even gets penalties. We don't know. But yeah, I mean, so the meta point is it is important to have somebody in your team so that you can quickly and easily pivot to players who emerge from this price bracket of 7.5 and 8 million.
Right.
And
Right.
one more pointer is it's necessary, like as an overall team structure, when you're building, uh, people might have their inclination towards certain players, but the price points are there for a certain reason, and like it helps us in overall structure keeping Salah as like if let's say Salah gets injured and he enables you a lot of money to use and spread across. Similarly, this is also a price point. Like if you have to downgrade and you're seeing a 5.5 and a 6.5 coming out, then these are the players that you will be kind of offloading and doing that. So in terms of your structure, also this price point would be key. So you can pick Mbomo for the start, maybe and offload later on when you're seeing a lower price pick because these are the picks you will eventually rotate, and you will not be rotating the likes of Salah and Palmer, who are always fluctuating in price and they're keeping a lot of money tight and holding up. But that is one consideration because they won't move much. But if they move, then it'll be very tricky to get them back. So that is a very tricky place to play in. So that's why I'm not going on a very higher upside and not going on a very lower upside there as well. So 7 million seems like a fair shout when you are picking these players.
Yeah,
Right.
so in the 7 million bracket, whom are we realistically considering?
I think Rogers
Rogers.
for starters.
Yep.
His preseason form is also good, so I'm confident on him.
It's also like, do you want to double up on Aston or not? So like people can. It can be triple up also because if game week 2 onwards, like barring the first fixture, which is Newcastle, and let's say they lose Isak, which also again becomes a good fixture for them, then they have the one of the most amazing run in comparison to Chelsea. So tripling up could make sense, but it's either Watkins and Rogers. And if you still feel like Aston is going to be similar and going to be just two outlets of FPL points with Watkins and Rogers, then you can even like go for there. But again, look at his ownership already, among highest among the five out here.
Yep.
So it's kind of a template.
Yeah, for me, there is a point to go with maybe Clivert or Semenyo if you're already going with Watkins up front. Then
Yes.
you can distribute your or tap into some equally good fixtures of Bournemouth as well. Semenyo has had his contract renewed recently for Bournemouth. He will have that motivation to perform well, and we all know how much he likes to shoot at the
Yeah.
goal, or like albeit
Yes.
it's not as much on target a lot of times, but yeah, he has that ability to get into the positions, scoring positions a lot.
Okay, so let's move on to next, which is our budget midfielder. Now, I know that price might be tricky, 6.5 million we have included in budget midfielder because this season at 6 million or below, we do not have any standout pick, to be honest. So we decided to include 6.5 as well here. I'm sure we will get some better low-cost midfielders as we go into the season, and we'll talk more about that when things progress. Okay, so starting with Kudus, he had 5 goals, 4 assists last season. But last to last year, he had 8 goals and 9 assists. There was a dip in form, but he has moved to Spurs from West Ham, which is a better team. The only concern that I see is Son is mostly going. I think it's confirmed he's going. Madison got injured in today's preseason friendly match, and there's no creative role currently in Spurs who can feed Kudus. I, he can create as well, but as you can see from the stats, it's very low. I won't depend on him to create. He's more of a goal scorer, by looking at XG. But
Right.
yeah, shot on target is decent for him.
Yeah.
But no double digit hauls.
Yeah. Just
What? Mhm. Go ahead,
Yeah,
bro.
just one thing to add there. There's one important thing about Kudus is I think he's a very, very smart signing by Spurs and Thomas Frank in general. Spurs last season were the worst team in terms of dribble success rate, right? And Mohamed Kudus was the second highest in terms of successful dribbles, right? He was right behind Doku, right? So I think they quickly identified that Spurs is not able to move the ball forward because they're just losing in terms of dribbles, right? So in terms of just that perspective, I think he's a very, very smart signing to do because he's going to move the ball forward. He's going to dribble and move the ball forward in general. He had the highest attempted dribbles last season, right? And taking that player and putting him in a team that has the worst dribble rate seems to be a very, very logical move. And I mean, kudos to them and kudos to them.
Nice fun there.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on to Murphy actually. He had 8 goals, 13 assists last season. First two fixtures are tough, but the rest of them like Leeds. I think I'm not able to see it. Let me zoom in actually.
It's Aston Villa.
It's
It's
Wolves
Wolves.
and then Bournemouth. Yeah.
Oh, okay. And
So
also, I think Murphy scored in the preseason, right?
yep.
Yeah.
But now
Criminally,
he will also have a
criminally
lot
less
of
unowned right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Aman, you were saying?
no, I was just saying that now they've also signed
Yeah.
Elanga for the same position, so he's likely to have a lot more
Oh,
competition in
explains the
that
low
role.
ownership.
So yeah,
Yeah.
so not sure how much we can trust.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he's an assist monster. And in this whole 6.5 and 5.5, he had 4 double-digit hauls. So something
Yeah.
to look out for.
He had a
I'm
great.
Uh
sort of interested in somebody who's not even here on the list, which is Dwight McNeil.
yeah.
basically he has the monopoly on all Everton set pieces. Just for a stat kind of lowdown, like he had some 45 corners taken in the last season, which was most for Everton. He had some 18 indirect free kicks into the penalty area. He had 4 goals and 6 assists in just 21 starts, right? Like he was injured for a long period of time. So that's a remarkable for 5.4 points per start, which is best in this price category of 6 million player midfielders. Just to compare, like Omar Marmoush from City, another popular option, he had a similar number of stars. He 14 starts for Marmoush compared to 15 for McNeil, and he averaged 5.07 points per start. So, in that sense, you can compare, like McNeil even performs better than Marmoush kind of a player. So I would, he obviously is competing with NDI, who is very popular right now in the drafts. What do
Yep,
you
yep,
think, guys, between NDI and McNeil?
I think the penalty is the
Yeah,
major factor over there.
that's why people are like leaning towards NDI.
yep. But an interesting pick, given that we are talking about someone who's not displayed over here, is Minted. He had
Yeah,
6 goals, 5 assists in the 20 starts. Is scoring in preseason friendly games as well, so looks
yeah.
promising.
I mean, with Adingra also leaving, I think he'll get some more minutes there as well. And I think both of them, Minte and Rutter, both
Yeah,
of them, they just had, I think, 19 or 20 odd appearances, and they had 11 returns in terms of goals plus assists.
yeah,
So these people are kind of under the radar right now, and let's see how these players fare. And another important, or I won't say important, another interesting player to look at would be Sessegnon. Sessegnon didn't start too many games, but in the games he started, he was an absolute monster in terms of like start rankings. Like per start, he was first in like goal involvements and a whole lot of stats. So he might be an interesting pick again to look at as well in the 5.5 million range.
So I
right.
feel he's that 5.5 million player who's that ultra differential
Yeah,
kind of a pick. Actually, Fulham do not have a very tough start to the season. They
Yeah,
actually have one of the better fixtures, if you compare to the other teams, and he has some serious explosive potential. Last season, towards the end, we saw how he delivered. I would be really interested, like just to give you, sort of a stat, like he was first for total FPL points per stat
per start.
amongst all defend. So this is amongst all midfielders priced at 6 million or less.
Yes.
Right, he was first for total FPL points per start, first for bonus points per start,
Yep.
first for goals scored per start,
Yep.
second for goal involvement per start, second for expected
Expected
points
points.
per start.
Yeah.
That's insane. I mean,
But if
it's
you
tough
are you
to
are you comparing those
ignore.
points when he was classified as a defender and this season it has changed?
Yeah, obviously, the points are whatever points he had last season, which is based on his, defender classification
Yeah,
points.
also, I mean, in general, the returns are exceptional. Also, he just played what 500 odd minutes, and he had like 4 goals and 2 assists. So that is
Currently a Fulham pick that is like because of the preseason form and some in brief areas of last season he had a good form as well as Harry Wilson. He scored some 3 goals in this preseason already, so that's becoming one of the 5.5 picks over there also. But Fulham is again like in these are inconsistent teams
yeah.
we usually don't trust, and only wait and watch is the best to go about. Why, like I think why we picked Adingra over like likes of the players you mentioned, and obviously Dwight McNeil could be on this list. We just thought NDI could be a better pick here. If you
yeah,
look at from an eye test what Adingra did last season, like watching the Brighton games, he's touch map or like heat map, he is always there where there is like a goal threat area, like he's picking those spaces. I just got some glimpses of highlights of Sunderland's last game. Also, he scored an offside goal there, and like he looked so well, like already synced up in that team. So very difficult to ignore him right now. Very less ownership as well could be a differential from the start. Maybe not in the playing 11 right now, but there are certain attributes which are not screaming currently from the stats, but just from his like how he's fitting into the system are speaking there. So that's why I think these players deserved a shout, and obviously there is some aspect to whether these guys are good on the recovery side also. So both Hedingra and Anderson is obviously the master over there in terms of recoveries and interception, but Adingra also had a decent. I think his CBIT contributions per 90 is around 5 or 6. So there could be like after like in 4 games you can expect him to get you that DEFCON point that you are looking at maybe in a high contesting game as well because he is running from the half line to the D box. That has been his play.
Another player who's kind of like gone under the radar, and maybe Aman, you can comment on him. What do you think about Enzo? 6 goals and 8 assists last season.
Yeah, man.
What do you think about Enzo?
I'd talk of Enzo and Moises Caicedo in the same breath. You know, both
Yeah,
of them same price bracket. Enzo has
goal threat.
developed into a player who we've seen, you know, entering into the attacking third a lot more. He has
Yeah,
been given that freedom. So you know, it's a fair shout. Like he will give you that very high defensive contribution points for midfielders for sure. So will
mhm,
Moises Caicedo, right? He had
yeah,
if we had to consider, he had some 42 defensive contribution points, which is the highest amongst all midfielders. Caicedo, you know, he is scoring some 6.14 ball recoveries per 90, 1.31 interceptions per 90, and on top of that he has also returned a little bit, right? He had 1 goal and 4 assists, so he is developing that attacking potential as well. He's getting into those advanced positions. So yeah, that's interesting, but I feel Chelsea already, a lot of people are probably going with two players,
goalkeeper.
at least a defender or a goalkeeper, and there's Palmer, and maybe would want a more interesting or a higher potential pick than Caicedo or an Enzo.
Yep.
What I'm more
Yeah.
interested in is Elliot Anderson from Nottingham Forest. I mean, he's a Seabed king. Like he had 13.4 defensive contributions per 90, which is the highest amongst all defenders. He would have scored some 36 defensive contribution points, which is the sixth most across all players from last season. And then he had 2 goals and assist. He's also on set pieces, you know. So for me, he's definitely one of those picks who's competing with the likes of Adengra and Sessegnon for that budget 5.5 midfielder spot.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
this is a very tough contested
Yeah.
area right now, and I think thanks for mentioning the DEFCON piece over there, Aman, because I think if let's say we have to differentiate between them and like pick a player just on a certain attribute because they may be resonating on the every other KPI, then DEFCON could be the one where we make that differentiation and like pick them in our squad.
Yeah.
Yep.
One more pick for 5.5 million is Daniel James. But again, the striker Piroi is also at 5.5, so you need to decide amongst the two whom you want to bring
Guys,
in.
by the way, there's a new signing. Somebody who is coming from Brazil, Fluminense, and he's coming to take up the place of Cunha. He's John Arias
Oh yeah.
from Fluminense,
Yes,
and
I saw.
he had a stellar,
Yeah.
Club World Cup performance. I saw the matches because we played against Fluminense in the semifinals. He is somebody we really need to keep an eye on. He again is 5.5 million, and he has some serious potential in that team, considering he will be dominating the chance creation role.
Yep,
Yes.
yep. Anything else, or should we move ahead with our
Quick
last
call
section?
out for Reinders as well from City.
Yeah.
If he starts 5.5.
He is more of a Gundogan. Like, so last season in AC Milan, he scored 10 goals and provided 4 assists. And in the preseason and in even the Club World Cup, you know, he was only rested once, by Pep, and that was against I think I'm Align from Saudi Pro League, and he was not even required to be called from the bench. City won that game pretty easily,
Mhm.
so he has gained that gained trust of Pep, I feel. And at 5.5 he could be a serious point monster and look into that City team if
Yeah.
we
Yeah,
are
I
not
mean,
going with Haaland especially.
His
I'm not
spider chart
calling that.
overlap is absolutely the same with the Gundogan. He's an
Mm.
absolutely same player in terms of characteristics like Gundogan.
Yeah, it made sense to replace him.
Yeah.
But like I'm not taking him out of my consideration even till the deadline because
Yeah,
let's say if I get see because there is no city coverage right now.
Yeah.
It's
yeah,
very difficult to have a city coverage, and someone has to be there. And if he's, I'm not saying he will be covering up for the best ones of the city, but I think if you don't have eight Nouri and you need someone, I think there has to be someone like a
Yep.
Reinders who could be getting in you goals early. And if let's say he starts the season really well, then he could be 6 million in no time.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
Right. So that's one thing with the like first 5 game weeks, prices moved like anything. And like if you don't tap onto them, then it's very difficult considering it there are only 100 million teams tight packed.
right, right. Okay, let's move to our last section, which is set piece and penalty taker. I'll start with the top six teams whom we can target. The reason why I'm talking about top six teams is so if you see season by season, last season, bearing last season actually, most of the time, the top three teams, that is City, Arsenal, Liverpool, and Newcastle in few seasons, they were in top in scoring goals from corners or set pieces, right? And that's the reason this comes into play. For example, with Liverpool, we have seen Wirtz taking corners from both end as well as free kick. So Wirtz becomes an interesting pick. And if he starts scoring goals, so goals plus assist is something that you can get out of that 8.5 million price. Now coming to for City, we have Foden who takes the corners and free kick, indirect free kicks. We have Saka for Arsenal taking the corners. Gordon, I think, for Newcastle. Palmer being Palmer. So that's it. Any interesting player that you see over
Yeah,
here?
something interesting
I just
from the
want to
set
call out
pieces.
credits to All About FPL for this, for this visual that we picked before we like jump into the main discussion. Sorry, but just wanted to put that out.
No, no, yeah, for sure. So, an interesting fact that I was looking at when it comes to set pieces was, teams who actually scored the most from set pieces. It is, you'd be surprised to know it's Crystal Palace. They had some
Yeah,
15,
Yep.
goals scored through set pieces. So, Eza, as we were all discussing earlier, he becomes a serious shout. And then second, you have Aston Villa and Arsenal. We all know what Gabriel was doing, with his headers. Uh, Aston Villa has been great as well. Like Megan and Tielemans are on uh, corner duties, I think, from there. And then again, also with 14 goals is Nottingham Forest. So
Milenkovic.
right, so you have those Nottingham Forest defenders who are coming in and scoring those goals.
Yeah.
And then it was Brentford followed by Chelsea and Brighton. So interesting how there's not Liverpool in the top 5 7 teams. There's not City in the top
City was
five,
in the bottom five.
right?
Yeah, last season.
Yeah.
So
mm,
these are some interesting things that we need to keep in mind.
But last season was anomaly, to be honest. I've seen
Yeah.
previous 4 seasons, and it's mostly the top 4 5 teams who are scoring those goals through corners.
Yep.
yeah. One standout thing is like the teams which have changed drastically won't be the same. Brentford was Brentford, and in terms of set pieces, they were high because of the likes of attacking players, Norgard, moved, Benbumo who is moved. So that if goes and if Visa also moves, you won't see that same potential, and then the overall appeal of the team goes down. I'm excited about Nottingham and the call out about Anderson and Milenkovic that is there. So these are some key picks. But overall, I think if we are targeting players from set pieces, it should be aligned to like Saka, Gabriel Saliba
Yeah.
combo, which is the most efficient I have seen in last 2 seasons, and we
In
can
that
speak
respect,
about it.
Gibbs White is also there from
Yeah.
Yeah,
Nottingham
Yeah.
Forest at 7.5. He's taking all of those corners, so he's the assister to the goals coming in from Murillo or Milenkovic.
One thing is like, given Suraj, you mentioned about how Spurs is right now. Solanke hasn't featured in a single game. You might not know who's on penalties.
Madison is
Poro
gone.
is there. I mean, he has taken corners for a long while. Kulusevski has taken a, Son has left. Madison is injured. So there two key players are not there. So I think if Kudos becomes that player, then that
Yeah.
6.5 makes sense. Like it will be
Yes.
even a higher appeal to what it is right now in terms of
Yeah.
we might be hovering around multiple players in that price point. But one thing is there that I feel these 6.5, 7.5, and up to 8, all of these picks have like a separate fan base in terms of in the community right now. There are people who are just talking about Eze, there are people who are just talking about Mbomo. Fixtures is a less of a consideration, but they have a fan base of their own, and like people are just spreading and pushing those things out. It's very difficult right now to clear that air, but I think we did a fair job in like segregating some of the nuances that we have seen. I mean, it's obviously your choice to pick, just like how we are saying this is our suggestion, not our stock pick for the season. But yeah, we will be also like, given the number of days that are left, we'll be keeping our tabs on these players, whether they get into this output of set piece and penalties or anything, because then it kind of ends that discussion from an FPL standpoint in most of the cases. Like if you see he's a free kick taker or a penalty taker or a corner taker, then their XA shoots up, XG shoots up. So it clearly will change the entire bias that we have spoken about. It's one thing to keep your tabs on.
Right.
Any closing thoughts from anyone?
No, amazing pod, boys. Another very insightful, especially shout out to you both, Suraj and Varun, for creating that first graph of goal contributions. That was some seriously amazing work that you guys pulled off. But yeah, interested to see how our midfields shape.
Yeah. And just to mention everyone, guys, we this is our fourth pod of the season now. We're growing as we speak. We are putting out content as we speak. We have Vimarsh over here who's been doing these deep dive analysis, and throughout the season, he's going to delve into player and their playing style. Whether just this is a very eye test specific view that you will be seeing. Obviously, collaborated with the data to make you do the right picks. Aman is obviously helping you with stats and like he's proven in terms of FPL. So all of us are putting our efforts, and yes, and Suraj for hosting us for last 4 weeks. So this has been an amazing experience for all of us. Please hit subscribe and hit the bell icon. Don't miss our updates. This is helping us grow, and we obviously want to be one of the best pods out there, and only your support can help us be there. So thank you guys, and see you in the next time.
Yeah, and follow us on Twitter and Instagram as well. Thanks, Ivan. See you in next
Thank
See you.
pod
you.
with forward picks.
Until next time.